This is why I'm here. And to not take action towards that is kind of like spitting in the face of the gift of my life, if that makes sense. But yeah, I've spent many hours just like having Minecraft streams of other people on in the background. Just you find like people who you're like, this is a good person. Like they interact with their chat and their chat asks them for like life advice and they give good life advice. Not that you should be looking to streamers for that kind of thing, but like when you do find one where you're like, okay, this is actually like a positive influence in my life. You know, they say that there's the quote, who you will be in 5 years will be determined by the 5 people you spend the most time with and the 5 most important books that you've read in that time. Just that concept of being very intentional with your own personal growth and where you're going and where you're heading. Because this is like the whole parent thing. It's like you don't want kids to hang around kids who are going to be a bad influence, because that's literally what happens, is they will shape their personalities around who they choose to spend their time with. Which is also equally true for people watching content. I tell you what, I'm in some of these circles of streamers and friends, and everybody's friends with each other, and they all collaborate with each other, and some of these people are toxic and no good people. And if I see some of my streamer friends interact with those people, I'm going to probably have some words with them and be like, don't spend time with that person. I mean, I'm not anybody's parent. But I will express my concerns in a friendly way. Because, people get into streaming and making content for all sorts of reasons, and some of them are not the healthiest reasons. Some people are like looking for validation they didn't get in their childhood, not to get too therapeutic, psychological, whatever. But like, I mean, if it's true, it's true. I think a lot of us are driven by we're shaped by like what we had to do to earn love in childhood. Determines like our natural inclinations and behaviors, but we're also conditioned to look for love in the ways that we didn't get it. Those two axes are like at war with one another in a lot of people. So yeah, sometimes people they're working through their issues in like a very public way, and they're not even actively working through them. I guess they're just on display is what I guess I'm trying to say. I don't know how we got on this topic, but that's okay. There are incredibly positive influences out there. There are really great people out there that I think are decent people to spend your time around or listening to. And for some people, like listening to streams is like a tool for dealing with anxiety, right? Like to just have something on in the background, something soothing, something whatever, but you need to make sure it's actually a positive influence. So yeah, I've given a lot of thought to that, and that's why I'm so deliberate about trying to be a positive influence. Like, I even have found times where I'm like, oh, I'm not being as positive as I want to be while streaming. So I hold myself to a very high standard, because who knows who's going to end up watching any of this content. I don't think anything I've made is like aimed at like the teenage crowd, but if anybody starts watching along, especially. This was kind of news to me, but I was sharing an experience with someone else about this younger trans woman that I was interacting with, and just kind of like, yeah, it's kind of different experience than I don't know, like they were giving me attention for things that I didn't know that I had necessarily earned or whatever. And anyway, this friend was like, you need to understand that like you're an older trans woman now. Like there are going to be young trans people who are looking up to you or looking to you for advice or whatever, even though like they might have more experience in the queer space than me. They're like they are desperately looking for mature role models that they can relate to. And I was like, oh wow, I did not think about that at all. So I take it all very seriously. Even just last night when I was trying to reach our 100 subscribers goal with that stream, I was like, this isn't gonna happen, but like what would it look like if I tried to make it happen? and what can I learn from that as like a life lesson? And then I ended up posting this whole thing on Blue Sky about chasing your goals and being proud of what you do, and not giving up. And I'm just like, yeah, there was I took something that I was going to be doing for a different reason, and I turned it into positivity, and I put it back out into the world. That's what I want to be doing with basically whatever I can be doing it with. And I'm going through a lot of things. I'm learning a lot about life, how to know who you are. I think people go through multiple different phases, almost like cocoon butterfly type of a deal, but if there were multiple stages where it's like they think they know who they are, and then life changes again, and then they're like, oh, I thought I knew who I was, but I didn't even know that certain other elements of life were a possibility. I never saw them modeled for me, so how could I have even known they were an option? And I think that can be really tragic, and it can really upset the status quo of somebody's life, and they're either going to like confront that and like ask themselves the hard questions of like, well, who am I with this new information? Who am I in the context of these new possibilities? Or they're going to revert back to their defaults, and not look into that big scary new thing. I find all of that very fascinating, and I'm actively going through it, and it's this is the stuff that midlife crises are made out of, frankly. Like, am I going through a midlife crisis right now? I don't really think so. I don't know what the official definition of that is, if it's even officially defined. Because I feel like I'm going through things in a very controlled manner, but I'm learning about myself, and the things I'm learning about myself are changing the direction of my life, because there are the building blocks of your life that you put together that you think are going to be compatible with other building blocks of your life. You might realize, like, these are not compatible. These cannot coexist, and now you need to decide. Well, you need to decide if you... How do I say this? Because you don't decide what the truth is, right? But you can decide what you believe, I guess is the way to put that. So you choose what you believe is the truth. Because again, there's that possibility that some people will not be ready to face the truth or ready to challenge themselves in new ways. So this is crazy. Like, this is all the stuff that I'm going through right now. Outside of anything relating to like creating this channel or making content for this channel, I mean, this channel is an expression of some of my deepest desires to be a voice. Specifically, is like something that's really important to me. I think I've told the story in the London Station Discord about my middle name. Did I write that into my article of the Signal? I did, didn't I? Gosh. I always hated my middle name growing up, and I can't. People are like sensitive about doxing themselves. I'm less worried about it, but I guess that's probably coming from a privileged space. Anyway, I hated my middle name, and then I kind of thought about the origins of it and other figures in the past who have had that name, and I found an element of it that I really liked, and it had to do with somebody being the voice for someone else who couldn't speak for or advocate for themselves. And that's when I actually like fell in love with my middle name. Well, if I keep it, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to keep my middle name, but because as far as this channel being an expression of like, I want to live in this goes back to Girl by Moonlight too, and parts of why that game is so impactful and important to me, because the game is all about how sometimes like living in your truth and in your power is going to like run afoul of like what's acceptable, quote unquote, in society. But that doesn't make it less true, nor does it make it less powerful just because other people don't like it. So, doing this and streaming to 2 people right now. It's not the impact level that I want to have. Oh my god, that guy just speared me from a horse. Holy shit. Wow. That was insane. I'm trying to have these deep life conversations and the Minecraft monsters are not having it. Anyway, I was saying, you know, I'm not at this point having the impact that I want to have streaming to, you know, 2 to 3 people. But like, I mean, on the other hand, you know, like where do you start? And you start there. In fact, people start with less than that. And I've been so blessed that even the people that have come around have honestly like trusted their time to me. And I take that like really seriously. And that's part of why I can have why I can end up putting so much pressure on myself, is because like I take this all really seriously. I think it's important. I think that the like if I'm gonna be honest with you, like I would like to like have an impact on the world. And you know, I'm sorry if that sounds it's crazy or vain or whatever, but like, why not? You know, the world is in a rough shape. You know, kind of maybe has been for a long time, and maybe different elements of that are visible to different in and out groups. Groups that have been marginalized are like, oh, the world's been shit for a while, and other groups are like, oh, I'm just now finding out that the world is crappy. But I also don't really subscribe to the like. I was in another chat with somebody the other day, and they were in such a negative space, and I was like, boy, like you're coming in hot with a lot of this negativity, and like I get it. The world has not been kind, and this was another trans woman, and I'm like, I totally get it. In the meantime, while you're going through that and you want to like have a revolution and burn everything down and like talk about how people are unreachable and, you know, there's no hope, and I'm just like, I hear you. I hold space for that. I hold empathy for you, sympathy for you, and I hope that you're able to take care of yourself, your mental health, and everything that you need to live your best life. And at the same time, like, I have hope left in me. And so while I have it, I'm gonna use it. Oh, I dumped my other bucket of lava out. Should I go get it? It's kind of far away. Yeah, it's probably not worth it. So yeah, with my little YouTube channel and my little Patreon and my little Discord talking about role-playing games here and there, you know, I want to do and say and I want to make a difference. I want to help people. I have been in very painful places. I know what that's like. And I've had people who have been there for me, and I want to be that person for other people too. I think we're all better together than we are apart. I think that there are entities that, for, you know, a number of reasons, market forces being one, politics, and there's a lot of people who stand to gain from dividing everybody. And I think that's really, you know, maybe that's the definition of evil to me, is finding profit or gain in the suffering of others. I don't believe in a zero-sum game outlook on the world. Even though we do have finite resources, we can expand beyond our current limits and boundaries. I don't think there's much excuse for people going hungry in the world right now. Like, if we just got our shit together, like, we have the food. We can feed the whole world. And I don't mean we, US, America, North America, you know, whatever. I don't mean like that kind of we. I mean we, all of humanity, have across this planet more than enough to serve everyone. But the thing is like the meritocracy view of things is like, oh well, if people aren't incentivized to do work, then they just won't do it and they will be lazy. And it's like, do you realize how much that worldview holds us back? It's insane. Yeah, midlife crises are usually discussed in a tropey way, sports car, personal trainer, etc. But a true midlife reflection makes a lot of sense, is healthy. And you know what? You know, the other thing that I think is tragic about it, this didn't have to happen in midlife for me. If I'm there, if I call this midlife, it didn't have to happen now. It could have happened any time before. It's just there weren't people around to guide me through this, or there were people around and I wasn't looking for them or paying attention to them or understanding. There's no real sense of like us looking out for each other as youths either. And so I want to be able to contribute that to young people. Like, I still feel young. I always say like I feel like I'm 23 in my like spirit. But yeah, no, I'm incredibly ambitious, and you know, that can have the effect of like I've said, and I've expressed many times now, like I'm being really hard on myself. When I see the little YouTube graphs go down, I go, oh my god, it's all over. Right? And it's not all over, it's just beginning. But I just so desperately want to do and represent all the things that I've been talking about this last, 20 minutes. So don't know what else to say about that. I mean, I could keep going, honestly, on and on and on, but just feels like this is why I'm here. And to not take action towards that is kind of like spitting in the face of the gift of my life, if that makes sense. And I didn't have any conception that I was going to be doing it as a trans woman. Like, that was not on my bingo card either. Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm so grateful that I am, though, because it is this special, unique perspective on life that, like, I've seen people talk about, and maybe never really fully understood. But yeah, it does take something unique to look at how you've been told the world works, or like how gender works, right? And then to just be like, maybe there's an entirely different way to look at this, and maybe not even like look at it holistically, but look at it for yourself. Which is why I've said, in the past, like I think one of the things that scares groups who are hostile to the queer community at large, because they don't care, what kind of queer you are, as long as you're not within the narrow box that's been, safely defined. As long as you're deviating from that, you're a threat, and you're a threat because you've proven that you can question things. And I don't even think people who are like these oppositional individuals even think about it that clearly. I think their leadership does. And I think that they can be, and I don't mean manipulated as in like, oh, they're mentally weak. I mean like it's a pretty straight shot of manipulation. Like, oh, hey, like how do we get people to agree with us that this is a threat to establishment? It's like, well, you're already halfway there. You're starting to say things are threats to establishments. Like, so what? What does that even mean? What does it mean to be a threat to an establishment? It means something might change. So what? Like, why is that so scary? It's great to hear honest voices on the internet, even if the reach isn't there yet. Know that those you have reached are deeply impacted. I hope so. I really do. And I tried to not get a big head or anything around it, because like I said, like that's not what I'm in it for. I have acknowledged, and it took me a while to get to this point, and this was an important hurdle for me to cross. I have acknowledged that I do like receiving attention. I do like receiving attention for things I've done well. I like receiving attention at all. Not gonna lie. But realizing that like, what's so bad about that? Like, take what you like about that and then use it for good. So if I like attention and then I say, okay, I'm going to go make a YouTube stream channel and stream a bunch of content that people by and large might not even care about, but like, you can't stop me. And if I get attention for that and it makes me feel good and I can give back in a way that makes others feel good, like that sounds like a pretty good virtuous cycle to me. I don't know.